Hello my friends, last week I finished building the Panther D, so today it will be painting. As a reminder, this is what the model looks like after the first stage of work. The vehicle is supposed to be completely fresh without being described as a veteran, so it should be quite complete and not too devastated by external factors. I spread everything out as much as possible to make painting easier. Of course the wheels are the most work. The complicated chassis is time consuming, but I decided that gluing it together into one piece would be a significant hindrance to the work. But I still have the Panther A and the Tiger, so maybe next time I will make a permanent chassis and see how quickly I can paint them as one element. Of course I glued screws into the hull and turret to attach the handles for the time of painting and weathering. I filled the places of contact with the plastic to make the surface rougher. A few drops of CA glue do the job, and believe me, after such pre-gluing I have never had a model fall off the mount. I started painting with the wheels. The first layer is a Panzer Grey primer, which here is to imitate the color of rubber. This is a new series produced by VMS with several colors that can be applied straight from the bottle without dilution. In the case of hull and turret, before I started painting, I covered the whole thing with a primer for metal parts, which increases the adhesion. I used an airbrush for this so that the layer was even. Applying this product with a brush would be too time consuming, and even elements such as towing cables or nets on the engine plate were ready faster after spraying than if I had to work on them with a brush. In this way I prepared the model for full coverage with another primer, and this time it will be an imitation of the red oxide primer from the same series of VMS primers. The color is ideal for armored vehicles, and after this first use I can say that I am very pleased with both shades that I had in my airbrush. The color is one thing, but the formula and composition of the primer are another, and here I have no doubt that this will be the product I use on subsequent models. Having already had the paint in the container, I also painted the inner surfaces of the wheels using a quick wheel mask, which made the work much easier and saved time. Due to the fact that the Panthera is to be completed as a completely new vehicle, I decided to do some painting that I haven't used on my models yet. The rubber bandages were first covered with chipping medium. All this is to paint them with a sandy camo color and then create the effect of damaged paint. It's supposed to look as if the camo was applied rather sloppily to the wheels, and while driving the paint crumbled and fell off as a result of the rubber working. This is not a complicated procedure, and depending on the amount of chipping medium applied, the amount of paint removed will vary. A little water and a brush, or like here cotton bud, do all the work. The final effect is great. Once weathering is done, the wheels will look exactly as I planned. As I was already working on the road wheels, I also painted the worn elements of the idler and drive wheels. Easy peasy. And now the entire model is in the base color. I usually cover the model with several thin layers, but I applied them during one painting. The paint simply dries quite quickly, so I can do it in one painting cycle, especially if I use Tamiya or real color paints as in this project. To paint the highlights or color modulation if you prefer, I added a light shade to the base color. Here you can clearly see the differences in color intensity. I started applying the paint prepared in this way as highlights to the most exposed surfaces. I lightened some elements using freehand painting, but for some elements I used a piece of paper so that the difference in colors was even and strongly marked. I used this especially for elements that required such an even cut off. If the model were to remain in sand painting, the highlights would probably be painted more aggressively with a greater difference in shade. There would be painting of details such as screws, but in this model I decided to follow a different path. Highlights on the sand color will remain in the intensity you see now, and I will lighten the details later using other techniques. But all this will happen during weathering. And right now it's a perfect moment to mention my wonderful patrons. Massive thanks for your support, my friends. The people who helped me the most are Bulldog09, Christopher Obarski, Dale Etchison, Dan Dibuła, Dan Majchrzak, EMT364, Eric Kirwan, Hans Zub, Peter L, Steve Enkin and the awesome Karsten Keddy. But the people listed just now are also my great patrons. Please don't forget that you can be one of them. And I realize it's not easy these days, but if you have a few bucks you could drop in my cup, that would be great. Thanks! Oh, and one more thing. Remember that if you join for free you probably won't be able to view my work. Better try the 7 days free trial, which will give you many more possibilities. I wondered for a long time what camo scheme should be prepared for this model. Color options were limited to green and brown, but it was more about the size and shape of the camo spots. Everything had to match the markings I had planned, and generally I wanted to go more towards minimal historical accuracy than catching the eye with fancy paint effects. In the end I decided on green spots, quite compressed in terms of color intensity, and a marking that I couldn't find on any color plate either on the internet or in the literature I have. From here you can see how I'm painting green spots and staying on them. Anyway, I have always liked such camo, so now I had the opportunity to implement it on the Panther. Now I started to color all the tools and additional elements that I added by myself on the vehicle. No rocket science at all, so just take a look and I'm going to prepare some drink, but first 2 tips that I just remembered. The first is the way we should paint the model. The turret should be attached during this process because in this way we will get the effect visible here and exactly the same as in reality. In some tanks or other armored vehicles, when the turret rotates, this effect will be quite visible, so it's worth remembering that the base color under the turret is the maximum that can be used. Truly speaking, the red oxide primer is the best option. It's worth remembering and I have to use it more often by myself. The second thing is the abrasions on the lower edge, which you can see being made. Nothing big, but it adds a few points to the overall look. Let's say plus 10 to the final appearance. And now the short presentation, how is it made? Just chipping medium paint and water, and different tools to make the effect realistic. To paint the trucks I use a mixture of dark brown, black and a bit of silver that I composed by myself. It has been working perfectly for a few years now, so I'm not changing what's good. It's a great base for all the weathering effects we need on this element. To apply the tactical numbers I covered the selected parts with glossy varnish. From the decal sheets I had to use a composed tactical number that I couldn't find on any color board, as I mentioned. Good transfers are essential. The most important thing is that they are thin and not yellowed. The application itself is not a difficult process, but in the case of this model you need to pay attention to the elements on the sides of the turret, where the decals must fit well to the surface. To make this process easier, it's worth using decal fluids which will properly soften and press the film into all nooks and crannies. Exactly as I did here on the visor caps and on the large rivet heads. Additionally, I used decals for fire extinguishers which enrich their appearance very nicely. These come from the Echelon set. Of course, to be sure, they were also treated with a bit of decal fluid which will undoubtedly ensure good adhesion to the surface. After all the stickers had completely dried, about 10 hours later, I covered the entire model with a thin layer of glossy varnish, preparing it for the next work. I will show you all of this in the next episode, which is already available on my Patron. So if you had a good time watching it, please like, comment and subscribe to the channel for more videos with my projects. As I said before, you can also consider joining my Patron group, because you can find there daily reports from my workshop, even if I don't broadcast regular videos on YouTube. In the next episode I will show you the weathering stage, so that you don't miss anything, stay tuned. That's all for today, see you next time, cheers!